Okay, so this is the continuation of the M2 June 2021 IAL paper. So I will continue from question number, I think I have completed until question number 6. So we'll start with question number 7 today. Okay, so the last two questions are left to discuss. So in this question, the unit vectors I and j are in the vertical plane, I being horizontal, j being vertically upwards, right? So we already know that. So they say here a small ball is projected with velocity 6i plus 12j meter per second from a fixed point A on a horizontal ground. Okay, so we can see that. The ball hits the ground at the point B as shown in figure 5. The motion of the ball is modeled as a particle moving freely under gravity. Find the distance AB. So it's quite simple, children, here. Even though you have I and J, there's nothing difficult here. Simply, the I refers to the horizontal component. So here 6I refers that your horizontal component is 6 and your vertical component 12j refers your vertical component is 12. Okay, so simply you can use 6i means 6 is your horizontal component, 12j refers 12 is your vertical component of your velocity, of your initial velocity, right? So I am resolving the initial velocity. Okay, so what do we want to do? We need to find the distance. Okay, find the distance AB. Okay, how can we proceed with this? How can I get the horizontal distance AB? Okay, so the way that we can proceed with this is we can obviously use, so with part A, we can obviously use S equals ut plus half at square. Okay, so how am I planning to use S equal ut plus half at square from A to B? Okay, so let's first use it. Now you guys can see that there are two directions here. So you have the x direction, the horizontal direction, and you have the vertical direction, right? So what you can do here is you could apply S equal ut plus half at square. First you could apply it vertically. So why am I applying it vertically? I'll apply it vertically upwards. The reason being, when you go from A to B vertically, first thing I can see here is displacement. The vertical displacement when you travel from A to B will be 0, isn't it? Because you start at one position level and you again go up, you come down to the same level, ending giving you a vertical displacement. Right? I'm sorry, I have to use the correct word. The vertical displacement from A to B is 0. There is a horizontal displacement, which is what they are asking us. So I'm applying the equation vertically, so I'll end up in the vertical displacement. A to B, vertical displacement is 0. Vertically, it has not displaced itself. Okay, it's in the same level as it started. Vertical displacement is 0. So U is the initial velocity. Initial velocity, it's moving up. So initially, you can see vertical component is 12. So time, this is the time taken for the journey from A to B, which is what I'm interested in finding here. Plus half into acceleration due to gravity. You all know I'm applying the equation upwards. Therefore, it should be negative 9.8, right? I'm applying the equation upwards. G is downwards. Negative 9.8 into t square. So let's get the value here. 0 equals 12t minus half into 9.8 is minus 4.9 t square. So you could factorize this taking a t out. 12 minus 4.9 t. And this gives me time is 0 or time is 12 divided by 4.9. So 12 divided by 4.9 gives me, this gives me 120 over 49. So I will be taking the fraction, okay? 120 over 49 seconds. Okay, so this is the time of flight. The time of flight is 120 over 49 seconds. Okay, so now what we do here is simply, now I need to find my horizontal displacement. I apply S equal ut. S equal ut, I apply horizontally. S equal ut plus half at square, we apply horizontally. So the the horizontal displacement from A to B, so I'm applying this from A to B. So what happens? A to B, the horizontal displacement is what I'm trying to find. So I'll name it as D here. So which is exactly what I'm trying to find. So D, initial velocity, initial horizontal component is 6. And then time is 120 over 49. So plus half at square. So obviously you all have to know this. S equal ut plus half at square. Acceleration in the horizontal direction. Now you know the object is moving freely under gravity. So you only have, acceleration is acting vertically downwards. There is no horizontal acceleration. So there is basically no horizontal acceleration. So this entire part is actually going to be a 0. Okay, so then basically your distance is 6 times 120 over 49, which gives us how much? So 6 times 120 over 49, which gives me 720 over 49 or 14.7, correct to 3SS. Okay, so 100, what was the decimal answer? The fraction answer I got 720 over 49 meters, which is equivalent to, so I wrote the exact answer first and then which is equal to, which is equal to, yeah, 14.7, right? 14.69, so 14.7 meters. Okay, so this is the distance that you are, this is the distance from A to B, the horizontal distance, okay? Okay, so moving on to question number B, part B. When the height of the ball above the ground is more than h meters, the speed of the ball is less than 10 meters per second. Find the smallest possible value of h. Okay, so they are saying there is a certain, now we all know when it comes to this projectile motion, okay, the first thing you need to know is that this motion is actually symmetric. So whatever you have in this side, it's you have the same thing on the other side. The directions might change. Like for instance, if you take A and B, they are on the same line of symmetry around around the projectile. So obviously, again, if I, for instance, if I take at B, I will definitely find the same components of speed. Definitely, I mean, I will get the same speed at the point B. The speed at A and speed at B will definitely be equal because they are around the same symmetry. I mean, they are around the same line of symmetry on the same level. Okay, so the speeds are equal, but directions might of course change. Okay, so this is the speed direction. So you might, you will definitely get your horizontal and vertical components in this manner. So then definitely you will have this 6 and you will have the 12 in this way. It will be the same exactly because they are on the exactly the same point around the line of symmetry. Okay, so this is just some extra information I gave you. Okay, so similarly they say here that around on this path. Okay, so they say there is a point where the speed of the ball is less than 10. Okay, so you all obviously understand when the projectile, when the ball is moving up, the speed is obviously decreasing, right? The speed is obviously decreasing. And there is one more special thing about a projectile that you need to remember, that is the horizontal component. The horizontal component throughout the entire motion remains the same, right? You all know the horizontal component 6, wherever you go in this path, wherever in the path, the 6 will be remaining constant. It's the vertical component that changes in value. It's entirely the vertical component who changes in value, who changes in direction. The horizontal component at the beginning stays the same throughout the entire motion until the very end in the exact same direction. Okay, so the horizontal component has no difference throughout the entire motion. The vertical component is the one that makes all the difference. Okay, so then they are saying when the height of the ball above the ground is more than h meters. So there is a place when it's more than h meters. So let's say it's at this point. So more than h meters. So at this path, right? So more than h meters, this path. So this is h meters. Let's say this is h meters above the ground. So h meters above the ground. So you have this portion of the projectile motion, which is more than h meters above the ground. So when the height of the ball above the ground is more than h meters, the speed of the ball is less than 10 meters per second. So in this particular region, your speed is less than 10. So I think you all know in a projectile motion, the lowest speed occurs at the very top, right? At the very top, you all know the lowest speed occurs because the vertical component is 0, isn't it? In a projectile motion, at the very top, at the highest point, vertical component is 0, while however the horizontal component will be 6. It doesn't change throughout the entire motion. As I told earlier, horizontal component remains constant. Okay, so they say at okay, so the speed of the ball is less than 10. So obviously you need to realize here at this point h. So this is the place where you have this starting speed of 10. So you have the starting speed of 10 here, 10 meters per second. So they are asking you what? They are asking you to find the possible value of h, because obviously starting from this point onward, the speed is reducing. Now you can see the starting speed. When you move up, the speed reduces. Okay, so they have not given you components here. They have directly given you the scalar value here. Okay, so the components are not given. So this is directly the speed is 10. Okay, at that point your height is h, and when you move above h, the speed is lower than 10. So you come to the other end, the other symmetric side of this, and you again come back to the speed of 10. And then when you move down from this point, the speed is higher than 10. Okay, so at this particular region, speed is lower than 10. During these regions, the speed is higher than 10. Okay, so we are supposed to find the smallest possible value of h. Okay, so smallest possible value. So this is the smallest possible h value. So let's do like this. I'm taking this particular point. Let's say that's point x here. And I'm going to mark my horizontal component. I know throughout the entire motion, my horizontal component remains the same. So that will be 6. That will be 6. So vertical component is unknown here. I'll put it as V1. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll mark an angle here as, let's say alpha. So we know the resultant velocity, we know the resultant speed. So what we can do here is we can get this, the 10. So you can resolve actually, you resolve your speed and you can get your horizontal and vertical component. So you get here 10 cos alpha. Okay, this alpha is a value that I used, it was not given. So 10 cos alpha should be equal to your 6, right? 10 cos alpha definitely should be equal to your horizontal component 6. So you end up getting here cos alpha equals 6 over 10, which is 2 times 3, 2 times 5. So cos alpha is 3 over 5. Okay, so why am I doing this? You might be wondering why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm going to find alpha, and using the help of alpha, I'll be finding my vertical component of velocity. So when I find my vertical component, I can actually use a normal equation, some v equal u, v square equal u square. And I can find this vertical height h. Okay, so I'm trying to find this v1 here so that it can help me to find this height h. Okay, so the understanding is what takes time here, but the process is quite easy. Okay, the process is actually really easy. All you have to do here is you get the cos alpha value by taking by resolving your speed. 10 cos alpha is 6, so cos alpha 6 over 10, which is 3 over 5. So when I draw a triangle here with alpha, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this gives me the other side as 4, right? So cos alpha, so I can get the value of sine alpha from here. Sine alpha is opposite over hypotenuse, 4 over 5. So now I can get my vertical component. So vertical component V1 is equal to what? You resolve this 10 away from the angle. This is 10 sine alpha. So 10 sine alpha is V1. So V1 is 10 times 4 over 5. So when I cut this off, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 2 times 4, this is 8 meters per second. So your V1 value is 8 meters per second. So 8 and 6, the resultant is only 10. The resultant of this 8 and 6 is what gives you the 10 here. Okay. Right. So then they're asking us to get the value of which I have my vertical component. Now I can apply V square equal U square plus 2A is upwards from A to X. So let's apply upwards. So V1, the final speed, V square is 8 square. Initial starting speed, the horizontal component, the vertical component is 12 square plus 2 times acceleration due to gravity vertically upwards is negative 9.8, and S is the height which we are looking for. So 8 square equal 12 square minus 2 into 9.8 times h, isn't it? So I'll take this whole bundle to the other side. So 2 into 9.8 times h equal 12 square minus 8 square. So which is h equals to 12 square minus 8 square divided by 2 times 9.8, which gives me how much is the value? So this gives me 12 square minus 8 square over 2 times 9.8, which gives me 200 over 49, or actually 4.08. Okay, so make sure you give the 3SF figure, because when the significance is not asked, you have to give the 3SF figure. Okay, so 200 over 49, which gives you, so make sure you write the decimal figure. 4.08 was what we got, right, for 3SF. Okay, so this is the 3SF answer, 4.08 meters. This is the smallest possible value of h. Okay, so this is the smallest possible value of h. Okay, so let's move on to part C. So these questions are quite a little bit challenging when we move on to part C. Okay, so they say here, when the ball is at the point C on its path, the direction of motion of the ball is perpendicular. The direction of the motion of the ball is perpendicular to the direction of the motion of the ball at the instant before it hits the ground at B. Okay, so can you all understand what they are saying here? They are saying when the ball is at the point C on its path, the direction of motion of the ball is perpendicular. Okay, to the direction of motion of the ball before it hits the ground at B. So this is the place where you hit the ground at B. So the direction at B, and there's another point called C in this path. There's another point called C in your path. So if you take the direction of B and if you take the direction of C, the two directions are actually perpendicular to each other, and they're asking you to find the velocity of the ball when it is at C. So this question is actually easy to do it if you can understand the concept behind it. So what I'll do is I'll erase everything over here. Okay. And I'll take so I'll erase everything else over here. Okay. Let me bring a copy of this down here. Okay. Now look, see the understanding. This is what you require here is to understand what they actually require from you. Okay. So what I'm doing here is now I told y'all, first thing is that, okay, so I told y'all the first thing is that the velocities, these velocities, I told you it's really important that you understand that this line is a line of symmetry. Around the line of symmetry, I mean, the velocities, the components, they are all symmetric. Just the directions are changing because this is upwards, this way you are going downwards, but it's symmetric. So this guy is 6 and 12, right? 6 to the horizontal, 12 vertical. So likewise, when the particle is at B, so your speed is like over in this way. So your horizontal component is definitely still gonna be 6. And vertical component will be downwards, not upwards, but downwards it will be 12 because it's at the exact same horizontal level. Okay, when you are at the same horizontal level around the projectile, your velocities are equal. Okay, your speeds are equal. Okay, so we have the speed at B. So now if I take the direction of motion of the speed of B, they're saying something about the direction, right? The direction of motion when it hits the ground at B. So the direction of motion means the resultant. The resultant is what gives the direction of B, right? So these are the two poles, and the obviously particle B is traveling in this resultant direction. So if I kind of make this line a little bit longer, so you can see what I'm achieving. So this is the line of the direction. I hope I've drawn the line correctly. Yeah. So this is the line. So it's supposed to be a straight line. I hope you all can see it. I think it's not clear with this, right? Shall I draw a longer line? So this is the direction of motion of B. Can you see this line? So the red color line gives the direction of motion of B. Okay. When it hits the ground, at the moment, at the instant before it hits the ground, the direction of motion of B is in this particular direction. Okay. Now they are saying there's another point called C on your path, and the direction of motion at C is perpendicular to this particular line. So then you have to find another place on your path. Okay. So for example, if I point out, let's say C is over here. So, you know, when C is over here, the direction is roughly somewhere like over here, right? Because your components go like this. So the path, the object travels kind of like in a tangent, along like a tangent to the path. So when I draw the tangent to the path, I think you can see this is how the path, this is the direction of, this is the direction. So y'all can see if I draw like this, does it create a perpendicular? When these two direction of motion at C and B, if I intersect, you can see it doesn't create a perpendicular. So this is not the correct placement of C. So you have to give kind of like a place where you can actually create a 90 degree, where the direction of this at that particular point, the direction should make a 90 degree with your red color, the motion of B, this particular point. So I can see this clearly doesn't work because it does not give me a 90. So you all need to kind of like understand this here. Point C has to be with somewhere over here. Can you all see why I'm taking like that? Because if I take the direction as a tangent, so this is the tangential direction. So this is the 6, and this velocity, of course, horizontal vertical component is an unknown. So if I make this line longer, I think you all can see that there is a possibility that this can actually create a 90 degree. Can you see? So you can refine it a little bit, maybe bring it properly. So I'm roughly drawing it. Okay, so it's a rough diagram. So point C is roughly somewhere over here. And can you see the direction of motion at C? Okay, the direction of motion at C is kind of like being perpendicular. Okay, it doesn't look very much. Okay, anyway, so this is roughly how it looks. Okay, so let me make that line longer. So this is how it looks. And what you do is you make this line long actually. Make this line long until you meet over here. Okay, so this is what you do. We do a simple geometry here, children. It's actually really easy. It's a simple geometry that you need to do here. Okay, right. So now see what I'm gonna do. I need to, they're asking me to find the velocity of the ball when it is at C. So I want to find its velocity. So velocity, obviously we find in terms of I and J. So you can see already horizontal component is there because it doesn't change throughout the entire motion. So horizontal component 6 is there. It's the vertical component we need. I'll say this is V2 because I have already used V1. So I'll say V2 or we can say velocity C, VC. Okay, so we'll find the velocity component at C. This is our target. This is our target. So let me put an angle over here between the resultant velocity. So this is the resultant. Okay, so between the resultant velocity and this horizontal component, I'll mark an angle called theta. Okay, so I always mark an angle here between the resultant and the horizontal. So let's say this is theta. Okay, so I need to find the velocity. Yeah, I hope you understand. To find the velocity, my target is to find this vertical component VC. Okay, that's all I need. I need the vertical component. Okay, so I'll put this angle, I'll mark the angle here as theta. And then what you can do is, since I drew this line longer, I hope you can see that we have corresponding angles here. Can you see this theta comes over here? This theta comes over here by corresponding angles. Let us, if the lines are parallel. So these two angles are equal. So that's the theta over here. Is that okay? This is a 90. Consider the big triangle. So it's a 90. Here it's a theta. Considering the big triangle, if this is 90, if this is theta, the other side, this guy angle will be 90 minus theta, isn't it? This angle should be 90 minus theta. Okay, by the geometry, 90. This is a theta. So when you consider angles of a triangle, this is 90 minus theta. So make this horizontal, make this line a little bit longer. So I'm drawing the vertical line, and so you all know this is a 90 here again. So which means 90 minus theta, from 90, if you subtract 90 minus theta, you will end up getting theta over here again. Do you agree? This full angle is a 90. From 90, if you subtract 90 minus theta, you get theta here. Okay. So that theta you can take, I think you can see we have what do you call, the alternate, not alternate, vertically opposite angle. So vertically opposite angle, the theta comes here. Can you see? The theta comes over here. Okay. Right, so then we can find the value of our theta here. So I can now easily find the value of my theta here because I know these components over here. Can you all see? I'm trying to get the value of theta, and that theta value by using this particular person, this set here, I can find the value of theta, which I can use over here and get my velocity component of C. Okay, I hope you all can understand that. So let's see how to get the tan theta here. So you have your component here 6 and 12. Okay, so this resultant, this angle, this is the theta here. So you all know what is I can use here tan theta. So tan theta is opposite over adjacent. So who is the opposite here? Opposite for this theta is this distance. That is this horizontal distance is 6. So horizontal distance is 6. Opposite over adjacent. So this is the adjacent. Adjacent is the vertical distance, which is 12. So just put the distances. So you get here tan theta equals half. So you get here tan theta equals half. Is that okay? So you get here tan theta equals half. And then we can use the help of tan theta here. Okay, so we'll use that. Okay, so coming back, I have my theta value over here. So we'll keep it exact. Don't go take tan inverse and get the theta value. So I'll put this velocity as V, the main velocity, the speed. Okay, so let's take the speed components here. So here at C, okay, so when I go to C, I can take the velocity, the resultant velocity cos theta gives me 6, right? The resultant velocity cos theta gives me 6. The resultant velocity sin theta. The resultant velocity sin theta gives me the vertical component, VC. Do you agree? Resultant velocity cos theta gives me the horizontal component 6. The resultant velocity sin theta gives me the vertical component VC. So I take these two guys and I divide them. 2 divided by 1. So V sin theta divided by V cos theta equals VC over 6. So what do you see here happening? V to V cancels. Sin over cos is actually tan, isn't it? So you get sin over cos is tan. Tan theta equal VC over 6. So you end up getting VC is, the 6 goes up, 6 tan theta. Tan theta is half. So 6 times half, your vertical component of velocity is 3. Your vertical component of velocity is 3. Can you all see it? So your upward component is c, which gives you what? So your final velocity at c. So your velocity at c is 6i plus 3j, because it's velocity you have to give in terms of I and j. They're not asking a speed, they're asking a velocity. So your velocity at c is 6i, I component, and vc was 3, so upwards, so plus 3j. So it has to be plus because you identified the position has to be over here. Okay, so this is the working is actually quite small. You can see that this is the only amount of working I've done for this entire question for the part C. So working is quite, there's not much working to do, but there is a lot to understand. I think there are some other alternative methods where you could use a vector product. Also, you could get the vector product and make it equal to 0. I think even, yeah. So that is, this is one alternative. So you could use your P4 alternative here as well. So if I use the P4 method, okay, so by using your P4 knowledge, you could use vector product. So because you know the vector, the velocity vector at B and the velocity vector at C are perpendicular. Okay, so you could take the velocity vector at, so this is an alternative method, another method. So velocity vector at B, you can see it's plus 6 and minus 12. Can you see it's plus 6 and minus 12? So you all know in P4, the dot product of two perpendicular vectors is equal to 0. So this guy will be 6i plus VC. So this is equal to 0. So the dot product of two perpendicular vectors is equal to 0. So this is actually quite easy if you know the dot product method. So you can take 6 times 6 is 36 minus 12 times VC equals 0. So you get here 12 VC equals 36, which gives you velocity C is 3. So this is actually a lot easier than the other method. I think you can see that this method is really, this is actually quite a shortcut, but you need to know that the vector product of two perpendicular vectors is equal to 0, the dot product. Okay. So velocity at vector at B and the velocity vector at C, they are the dot product of these two vectors are 0, and you must be able to use the plus minus correctly. Downwards, this guy should be negative 12. Okay, and this guy you have to use the correct values here, the signs, the correct sign. So velocity at C is, the velocity at C is 6i plus 3j. Okay, by VC I mean the vertical component. Okay, yeah, I should have put it as Vy maybe. The velocity y component at C. Okay, the velocity y component. Okay, I hope everyone is clear with that. Okay, so this is the end of the, this is the end of the 7th question. Okay, so the last question. Particles A, B, and C of masses 2m, m, and 3m respectively lie at rest in a straight line on a smooth horizontal plane with B between A and C. So let's mark it. So you have 3 particles A, B, C, masses 2m, m, 3m. Lie at rest in a straight line on a smooth horizontal plane with B between A and C. So this is A, this is B, this is C. Okay. Particle A is projected towards particle B. Okay. So A is projected towards particle B with speed 2u. Okay. You project it with speed 2u and collides directly with B. The coefficient of restitution between each pair of particles is E. So between this pair and this pair, each pair, the restitution is E. Show that the speed of B immediately after the collision with A is 4 over 3u, 1 plus E. Okay. So I'll consider the collision between A and B. So let's consider the collision between A and B and consider these two particles only. So particle A, I'm considering particle B. So this is particle A, particle B, 2m, m. So particle A is projected towards B with speed 2u at the beginning. The others are at rest, right? The others are lying at rest. Particle A is projected towards particle B with speed 2u. Okay. Okay. So then after A collides with B, you all can see that obviously B, when A collides with B, it's quite obvious the direction that B has to travel. When A collides with B, B definitely moves to the front, right? So it definitely moves to the right side. So this guy is definitely moving to the right side. So I'll say V1. So speed of A. So here there's some uncertainty because we are not sure whether A will keep going front or whether it will turn back. So that actually depends on your restitution, coefficient of restitution, E value. Okay, so for the moment, I'll assume it's moving front. So if there is anything wrong in what I'm doing, I'll get a negative figure. Okay, so anyway, it depends on the E value. Okay, so for the moment, I'll assume that after A collides with B, B will obviously move forward. This V1, I'm definitely sure about the direction. V2 has some uncertainty. Okay, because it might go forward with a lower speed or it might completely turn back. Okay, so let's there are only two rules to apply here: the law of restitution and the law of conservation of momentum. So by the law of conservation of momentum, okay, conservation of momentum. So when you're applying the law of conservation of momentum, you have to choose a positive direction. So I think everyone is to the right. I'll choose right to be the positive direction. So initial momentum equals final momentum. Initial momentum, mass into velocity, 2m into 2u. The other guy before, initial means before the collision. On top, I have the initial velocities. At the bottom, I have the final velocities after collision. So this is before collision velocities, 2m into 2u plus mass is m into velocity 0 equal final mass 2m into v2 plus m into v1. Is that okay? 2m into v2, m into v1. So I can cancel off m from everyone because m is common. This guy is obviously 0. So I end up getting here 2 times 2, 4u equal to v2 plus v1. So this is the first equation. Actually, you end up kind of solving a pair of simultaneous equation. Roman numbers are there here. So it's actually a pair of simultaneous equation. Okay, so then the next one, obviously we apply Newton's law of restitution. Okay, by the law of restitution, so what happens when you apply the law of restitution? E equals to speed of separation over speed of approach, right? E equals to speed of separation over speed of approach. Here also, you need to give a positive direction. I'll choose the front word as positive. Okay, so I'll take the front as positive. E equals speed of separation means the speed after the impact. So speed of separation, so I'll take V2 minus V1. V2 minus V1 over speed of approach. So if I take V2 minus V1, you all know the rule. You have to switch and take. So if you start from A, V2 minus V1, then the speed of approach, the before collision speed, switch and write it 0 minus 2u. You have to switch and take it, okay? Otherwise, I mean, that's how you get it's taught in the book. So you take speed of separation V2 minus V1 starting from A, speed of approach, you switch. So 0 minus 2, you give the directions, see whether we need to turn anyone. V2 is to the front, V1 is to the front, 2u is to the front. So everyone is agreeing with this direction. Therefore, it's fine. Okay, if there's anyone who didn't agree, you'll have to turn it to the other side, which means there will be a negative sign involved. Okay. Okay, so let's put the values E. So I get here minus 2u, I'll take it here, minus 2u into E equal V2 minus V1. So this is my second equation. Okay, so this is my second equation. So now it's time to solve things simultaneously. Okay, so I'll add the two equations because I can see plus V1 minus V1 will cancel. So I'll add 1 and 2. So when I add it, I get here 4u, I'm adding with minus 2ue. I get here 2v2 plus v1, equation 1. I'm adding with equation 2, v2 minus v1. Okay, so let's add everything. So I get here 4u minus 2ue. The plus v1 minus v1 will obviously cancel. 2v2 plus v2 is 3v2. 3 times the velocity of 2, right? Actually, I'm finding v2 is actually what? V2 is the speed of A. So I'm doing Roman number. I'm getting the Roman number 2 hours. Actually, when you see Roman numbers in your paper, that actually means that you're actually getting simultaneous pair of simultaneous equations. So anyway, V2 I get here. I take the u out. I can take a 2u out. So I get here 2 minus. When I take 2u out, I get 2u times 2 minus e over 3. So this is the V2. Okay. Shall I arrange it afterwards? I get here 4u minus 2ue over 3. So if I take a 2u out, this is 2 minus e over 3. So this is V2. So substitute that for the any one of the equations and get V1. So when you substitute, So I get here 4u equal 2 times v2 plus v1, right? So let's put the value v1 equal 4u minus 2 times v2. So 4u minus 2 times v2. Let's put the values. I'll use the not the compressed format. I'll use this one. So 4u minus 2ue over 3 equal v1. So what do we get here? 4u minus 2 times 4u minus 2ue. So I'll just write this down properly again over 1. Taking the common denominator as 3. Okay, taking the common denominator as 3, I get here 3 times. This is 3 times 4, 12u. Opening the bracket with minus 2. Minus 2 into 4u is minus 8u. Minus 2 into minus 2 is plus 4ue equal v1. So I end up getting here 12u minus 8u is 4u plus 4ue over 3 equal v1. Taking 4u out times 1 plus e over 3 equals to v1. So is this to show that 4u times 1 plus e over 3 is, that's correct, right? 4 over 3u into 1 plus e. This is the answer for Roman number 1. So Roman number 1 answer v1 is 4 over 3u times 1 plus e. Roman number 2 answer v2, which we found, because it's Roman numbers, children, actually it's simultaneous. So it depends on the way that you are taking it, the way you are solving. So this is 2 over 3u, 2 minus 2 over eu, 2 minus e. Okay. Okay, so this is the answer for part A, 7 marks. Okay, 7 marks for that. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. At the instant when A collides with B, particle C is projected with speed u towards B, so that B and C collide directly. Show that there will be a second collision between A and B. Okay, so that's another 6-mark question. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay. Okay, so moving on to part B. At the instant when A collides with B, particle C is projected with speed u towards B, so that B and C collide directly. Okay, so now you can see here, particle, I have actually drawn the speeds after the impact of A and B. A has speed v2, B has speed v1. I have written v2, v1 speeds here. So after the impact, they say particle C is projected with speed u towards B. Okay, so this diagram, so that B and C collide directly. You have to show that there will be a second collision between A and B. So B goes and collides with C. So after these two guys collide, you have to show that A will actually come and collide with B. Okay, so how does that work out? How can A collide with B? There are two ways, right? So there are two ways that A collides with B. One is that after B and C collides, either B will turn back. So if B turns back, it will definitely meet face to face with A. Or the other option is after B and C collides, C will turn the other way. C will turn the other way, and B also will continue moving front, but in a slower speed and even smaller than V2. So if B continues to move forward with a speed that is lesser than this V2 speed, then again A can obviously catch up with B and it can collide. Okay, so all of these depends on the it depends on the value of this B, this the speed of B after impacting with C. Okay, let's put those speeds. Okay, so for the moment, let's work like this. So I can see here the mass is 3 and here the mass is m. So these two guys, they collide. Okay, they collide, and after their collision, let's put the speeds as v3 and v4. I'm putting it to the forward direction. So let's see, depending on how I'm getting it. Okay, let's see how it's working out. I put it to the forward direction. So we will see. Let's see how it works out. Okay, so first thing I want you all to know here is about the obvious fact about the V2 velocity. We know that our E values are always between what? 0 and 1, right? The coefficient of restitution, E values are always between 0 and 1. So then this V2 direction, the first thing is I told you that this V2 direction, there was some uncertainty about it. I told you earlier here also, because this guy might turn back, it might go forward. There was some uncertainty here. So what I can say here by looking at this V2 here is, Butala, we know E is always between 0 and 1. So when you put any value of E in the range of 0 and 1, you can see 2 minus E. You can see regardless of what your E value is, because E is only ranging between 0 to 1, this bracket is always positive, right? So you can surely see that your V2 answer is positive, which means the direction that I have chosen is correct. So V2 is, the direction is correct. Okay. So you can write here, A is, what, V2 is greater than 0, or you can say here what, E is, or you can say 2 is bigger than E, right? Definitely this 2 is bigger than this E value, which is between 0 and 1. So definitely your V2 is positive. The V2 answer that I have here is surely it's a positive figure, because E is the uncertain figure here, and this subtraction always gives me a positive answer. So you can say A is moving, how do we say, towards, A is moving towards B. Okay, A is moving towards B. Okay, or A is moving to the right. Okay, something like that. Okay, so A is moving to this direction. Okay. So I have identified that about my A. Okay, it's time to work with B and C. Let's work with B and C. Collision between B and C. As I am. So they V1 and U. This is the speed of collision. This is 3m, right? Okay, so let's work with this law of conservation. So I'm taking B and C. Okay. So by the law of conservation of momentum, so write the full thing. Okay, by the law of conservation of momentum, I'll choose right side as positive. So before impact, it's m into v1. Okay, then the other guy is plus. It will actually be minus, right? 3m into u. The direction is opposing, so minus 3m into u equal the other guy m into v4. That's positive, plus 3m into v3. Okay, so this v3, v4 figures are completely speculated. Okay. Okay, so I have put these directions. If I'm wrong, we'll see. Okay, so I can cut off the m value here. I can cut off the m value here. I can get here v1 minus 3u equal v4 plus 3v3. Is that okay? Okay, so v1 figure I have already obtained. I think I'll keep it like this for the moment. Okay, let's keep it like this for the moment. So this is our equation A. Let's go for the next equation. Law of restitution. So I will not go to immediately put the v value. So let's go with the law of restitution here. E equals, they have told the E value is the same between both the particles. So equals speed of separation. I'll use positive direction as forward. Speed of separation V4 minus V3 over. So switch and write. Speed of separation over speed of approach. You have to switch it. So switching starting from the other guy, U minus V1. Okay, so U is backwards while V1 is forwards. Okay. So can you all see here V4 minus V3, that's fine. Speed of separation over speed of approach, switch it, U minus V1, and this guy, we need to fix it. So when I fix it, I get here V4 minus V3 over, when I switch this, it becomes negative U because I have turned it to the other side, right? All these guys are okay. This U needs to be fixed. So minus U minus V1. Okay, so I can obviously see I'm getting a lot of negative signs here, which we'll see. Minus U minus V1, I'll bring it over here. V4 minus V3. Okay, is that okay? So this is kind of like my second equation. Okay, equation B. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm trying to find the V3 and I'm mainly targeting to find V4. Okay, I mainly want to find V4 because I'm concerned about the velocity of B. I'm concerned about the velocity of B. I just want to find the V4 value. Okay, because I want to see whether there's another condition with A. So I want to find the V4 value. What's the easiest way to do that? Shall I multiply the equation by 3 so I can cut the 3v3? So this is entirely up to you all, children. The way you simplify is entirely up to you all. Okay, I multiplied the whole thing with 3. The reason I am multiplying by 3 is because I can see on top there's a 3v3 3 times. And here when I put multiply by 3, I get negative 3v3. Now I can add these two equations. So now I can say this is my equation B. Better to say this as equation B. So now let's add these two guys. A plus B. because I can see when I add these two guys, the V3 cancels. Okay, so let's add these two guys. V1 minus 3u, I have to add it with 3e times minus u minus V1. Okay, so adding it with the A, that is V4 plus 3V3. Okay, so this adding with the second guy, 3V4 minus 3V3. Okay, so shall we work on this? I get here V1 minus 3u. This is minus 3EU minus 3EV1. Here you can see that the plus 3V3 and the negative 3V3 cancel. That's the whole point of adding these two, to cancel these two guys. V4 plus 3V4 is 4 times V4. Okay, right. So now we are at the end. We just need to put our V1 value. So V1 value we have over here 4 over 3U1 plus E. And actually we have to get a value for V4. And we have to compare it with the speed of A and C and show that the A and B actually collide again. Okay, so what do I get here? I get here, let me bring the V1 guys together. V1 minus 3E V1 minus 3U minus 3EU, right? Okay, so I can take V1 out from these two guys, 1 minus 3E. Okay, is that okay? Okay, so let's put the V1 value. V1 value is 4 over 3U 1 plus E. 4 over 3U 1 plus E. This is 1 minus 3E. I think over here better to factorize these two guys. I can take a negative 3U out, which gives me 1 plus E. So it's easier to factorize actually. Can you see what I did here? I took the negative 3U out. So I get here, when you take it out, I get here 1. This is a plus because I take minus 3U out. I get 1 plus C. So there are two terms here. This is the first term. This is the second term. There are two terms here separated by the negative sign. So what you can do here right now is shouldn't take the common thing out to make it easier for you. Take the common thing out between the two terms. Between the two terms, U is common. 1 plus E is common. Between these two guys, U and 1 plus E is common. So write the remaining thing 4 over 3. U and 1 plus E goes, you get 1 minus 3. Here, when U and 1 plus E goes, just minus 3 is remaining. Can you see? This simplification is quite tough, but you just need to do it in this manner. If you do it, it's easier in this way. U times 1 plus E, I get here common denominator. Let's take it with 3. So multiplying up and down with 3, I get here 4 times 1 minus 3E minus 3 times 3 is 9 over 3. Is 4 times V4. Do you agree? So I end up getting here U times 1 plus E. I get here 4 minus 12V minus 9. The bracket opens with 4. 4 times 1, 4 times 3. Over, there's a 3 here. So I can take 3 down. And actually this is equal to 4 times V4. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm done here. So then we get here U times 1 plus E. And here I get here 4 minus 9 is minus 5 minus 12E. Over the actually this 4 can come down. So 3 times 4 is a 12. Equal V4. So I end up getting actually from this sign, I can take a negative sign out. Minus U over 12, 1 plus E. When the negative sign comes out, 5 plus 12E. Equal V4. Okay, so I think very clearly we can see what's going on over here, right? Okay, so you get your V4 value, V4, which is the speed of object B after it collides with C. So the speed of object B after it collides with C, V4, you can very clearly see now the direction I have used is wrong because I'm getting a negative figure. You know your E values are ranging between 0 to 1. So when your E values are ranging between 0 to 1, this V4, regardless of what you use for your E between 0 and 1, the negative sign is gonna be there. The negative sign is being there here because I have thought that B is going forward. Okay, it's moving to the right side, but I'm getting the negative sign. Definitely, I'm getting a negative sign, which means this direction that I've used is wrong. Which means V4, which means your B is moving to the opposite direction. Okay. Okay, so B moves in the opposite direction. So velocity of B after collision After collision, the V4 is U over 12, 1 plus E, 5 plus 12E. So this is a negative when it's forward, so positive when it's backwards. So it's the other way. So it's moving towards A. So at the end of the day, you can see after B collides with C, B is actually turning back. B actually turns back and it moves in the opposite direction, which means it heads back towards A. Okay. So B is moving back towards A. Therefore, velocity of B, or you can say B changes, and B changes its direction, or you can say B moves in the opposite direction. B moves in the opposite direction after colliding with A. B moves in the opposite direction after colliding with A. Therefore, B collides with A. Sorry, B moves in the opposite direction after colliding with C. Okay, sorry, B moves in the opposite direction. So B and C collide. And what happens? V4 is wrong. V4 is backward. So B moves back. So when B moves back, what happens? A comes forward. Right? So we found that A comes forward. We wrote that A is moving towards B, isn't it? At the beginning, we show that A is moving towards B. So now we know B moves in the opposite direction after colliding with this. So therefore, B moves towards A. Therefore, A and B collide. Therefore, A and B collides again. Right? So that's what you need to show. You need to show that your A and B collides again. Show that there will be a second collision. Yes, there will be a second collision. Okay, so you can say here V4 is negative also. Just I'm giving some extra things here. V4 is negative. Okay, so therefore the velocity of B is after the collision. To make it positive, I change the direction. Okay, children. So this is the answer. So this is the end of the 2021 June IAL paper. Okay.